about 3 weeks, it'll be go time. Just stopped and pulled a few ears of corn. I'm gonna throw it in a tester. I would say this is probably 35% stale. All right, got this stuff shelled here. Mix it up a little bit, get a good sample. This thing will test up to 40% corn, so put a handful in here. It definitely feels extremely wet. Here's the moment of truth. See where the corn's at. 32. So, still got a little ways to go, but it's definitely in the home stretch. So that's where we're at. So real quickly, back this thing out. Try not to hit anything. And just ran to the dealership and got some filters for this. I think I'm gonna go ahead and change it. Well, the oil up here still looks clean, but it's got 150 hours on it. I like to change stuff every 100 hours. Combine usually only gets changed once a season, so I am gonna go ahead and change this. Got some corn from another field today. Yeah. Better be getting the oil changed and getting that thing ready, because us getting probably 2 weeks out. That's interesting. Change of plans. We're gonna hook the ripper up to the Magnum because a buddy doesn't think it'll pull it. So there's only one way to find out. We're gonna hook the ripper on and try and rip my garden and see if it'll pull it or not. It's come to my attention that the corn's just about dry enough to shell, so naturally, you gotta try some. So here we go, 2020 harvest. We're gonna get started. Beautiful. And just like that, sweet corn harvest 2020 is over. And next up, we've got fall tillage. We'll see if she'll pull it or not. Apparently. Oh, she's spinning. She's spinning. I don't think he's got it in four-wheel drive. See if she'll do it or not. It was spinning an awful lot the last go around. Yeah, it's pulling. Up, up. It's scratching and crawling, but it is pulling it. See, I made a little pass there. We're gonna adjust the draft control a little bit, not sink it so deep. So that's how you harvest your garden and do your fall tillage. And as you can see, this thing definitely found the hard pan. Pulled up concrete. It pulled up some massive chunks out here. And it pulled it pretty good once we realized it was in two-wheel drive the whole time. So we got it in four-wheel drive and actually got the draft control set right. And it works really good. So I would like to rip any bean ground that's gonna be corn next year that's flat and not gonna wash. And any of it that I don't rip, I'm gonna put cover crop rye on the hilly ground, and it will hopefully bust up the hard pan some too. But this is cheap, pretty effective, and then I'll run the finisher over it and plant corn straight into it next year. But all my corn stalks I'm just gonna leave alone, and the corn stalks I'll leave alone and just no-till soybeans straight into next spring. But pulled it in 6th gear, just shy of 5 miles an hour, so that's plenty fast for this thing. But it works pretty good. Well, good morning. I'm actually going to change the oil on this today. Yesterday, I meant to, then I got preoccupied. It started raining, and then Mexican food sounded good, so yeah, the oil didn't get changed yesterday, but it's gonna get changed today. I could use that tank. I could have bought fuel back when it was like $1 a gallon and filled that thing, and it had lasted me 6 years. Anyhow, we're up here, and that sweet corn I shelled yesterday, it actually put every bit of it in the grain tank, which is pretty dang impressive that it shelled sweet corn off the cob. And that's pretty much all kernels too. Problem is now I gotta knock it out of there because it'll rot the tank out, so yeah. I'm impressed that it shelled it though. As slow as that thing's draining right now, I think I'm gonna go eat lunch. And is that a grease? That's a grease fitting. I did not grease that grease fitting. I need to grease that grease fitting. It's the little things you find while you're looking around on your machine. This thing's new to me, so it's hard telling how many grease fittings I'll miss. I think I've greased almost all of them, but the more I crawl around on it, the more I find. I found 2 more grease fittings. One right there, one right there. I missed those before, so shot some grease in them, shot some grease in those. I'm like 90% sure that I've got them all up here now. There's several, and the more you turn things, the more of them you find. But I am pretty sure that I've got them all now. At the rate that's going, it's gonna take a few hours. But the oil looks pretty clean. I mean, it's definitely black and used, but it's got about 120 hours on it. But pretty clean looking oil. No metal shavings or anything in it. Those are just bubbles before anybody gets too excited, but not bad looking. Eating lunch, writing checks, and we're in the green today, so that's good. Filter number 1 changed. This is the fuel filter. There's just a shut off here. Turn that, unscrew the filter, screw the new filter on, turn that back on. That's just gravity fed from the fuel tank. Got a little pump there. But this right here is a sensor. Don't ask me what it's for. I assume fuel pressure, but I'm not real sure. Got a water separator on there. So yeah, that's all there is to that one. All right, next filter is this oil filter. Twist it off, twist a new one on. Old one's off, new one's going on. Really not much to it. Got snugged up with a wrench. It's good to go. Believe it or not, I had this combine completely clean, but just sitting out in the dusty gravel driveway and then getting sprinkled on. It's back to that again. I promise it cleans up nice. It's just dusty right now. One thing I did not show you guys is there isn't actually a drain plug on this per se. It's more of a drain. It's just this here. You push it in, push it out, and like that it's shut. So it's basically just a valve, which I don't know how I feel about that because it turns awful easy, and I feel like if it would accidentally get turned, you would drain all your oil out on the ground and lock your motor up, which would be a very, very, very bad day. So I really don't know how I feel about that. I'd rather it be a drain plug, but I guess that valve works. I'm just not a huge fan. That fuel filter didn't want to come off, so I had to get the jaws of life out. Spins nice and freely now, but almost broke my filter wrench trying to get it off there the first time. So these pliers work much better. Try and do this without getting fuel everywhere up here. This filter and that filter are definitely not the same filter. So I guess I'm going back to town and getting the correct filter. This is what they gave me, but that is not going to work. Voila, ain't she beautiful? I scuffed it a little bit because I tightened it with these, which I don't recommend doing, but well, you just seen me do it, so you know, take my advice for what it's worth. I'm not a mechanic. So our next step is going to be to put oil in it, because typically diesel motors run better when they have oil in them. Fun fact. Let's see how much motor oil we can dump down there instead of in there. My guess is we'll spill at least a quart. That's usually average for me. Not near as black as the old oil. It will be in about probably 50 hours. Yeah, like I said, I'm gonna spill at least a quart. Funnel fell down and I didn't catch it quick enough, so I get to climb down in the oil. Never fails. I don't think I've ever changed oil on anything without making a mess in one way, shape, or form. I can get this where it stays now. This bar is right in the way. I have to stick a funnel in there. Got the hydraulic filters changed. It's starting to rain, but this thing is 110% ready to go. Well, if it starts. We don't have any fuel. I think I got it. I think I got air somewhere. So we're gonna keep trying here. And I had to have a little bit of help though from a jumper pack. I think we just got some air in the lines. I cracked the water separator down at the bottom of this filter, and I got a little bit out. Tightened it back up, let it set for a second. Went and got a drink, came back, threw that on there, and it worked fine. So I don't know. Couldn't tell you what happened. All I know is it's running now, and really that's all I care. But definitely needed the starter pack to get it going, because I'd ran it kind of low. Combine is new enough that it's got an electronic fuel rail system on it. It's not mechanical. That's the only year that they made the 2388s like that. It is new enough for that. It's a 2006, which I believe is the last year that they made the 2388s. But I know the 2588s, which is what they made after those, exact same setup. And I think they made those for 2, maybe 3 years. I don't think they quite made them into 09. That's when they went to the flagships completely. But that's what that combine has. Mechanical pump, I feel like would have been a little bit easier in that situation. But they usually just like this, for example, has, if I can find it, right there, that button you just push to prime it after you change the filter. That doesn't have that, but I'm not an expert on fuel systems, but I do know that I kind of like that mechanical deal a little bit better than that combine when it comes to changing filters. Now, as far as longevity or horsepower goes, I don't have a clue. All I know is changing filters is a little more difficult on that than it is either of those tractors. Oh yeah, purring like a kitten. Get her all buttoned back up, went to the shed. I swear every time I get this thing out of the shed, it starts raining. I really don't like getting the combine wet, but it is what it is, I guess. So, back to the shed we go. This thing is pretty much completely ready. I do want to sweep the cab out and clean it out, which it was cleaned out prior to me servicing it. I had it cleaned up like new in here, but it's already all filthy dirty again. So I'd like to get it cleaned out. The next job I've kind of been putting off. I gotta go thoroughly clean out 3 grain bins with a shop vac, get down in the sumps, clean them out real good, because they are going to be grain bins for seed beans this year. So grab my broom, grab a shop vac, go do that. I mean, they're mostly cleaned out, but I didn't get too carried away because I didn't really know last year when I was cleaning them out that they would be seed beans this year. 3 grain bins cleaned out, got them swept, and then stuck that thing down in the sumps. Got them cleaned out, so they're ready to go. I would have liked to seal them up already and bolt the doors shut to put grain in them, but if I do that, the guy that's coming to inspect them probably wouldn't like that, because he'd have to climb all the way to the top of the bins and all the way down to get in them. So for now, I'll leave them open, but I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 13 grain bins to get closed and bolted up and locked up and the doors completely sealed before harvest. So that's half a day's job right there, just driving around closing up grain bins. Next up, gonna take the little 105. I already threw the jack in here, little hitch pin, and we're gonna go pick up an implement that I think has not been on YouTube or hardly on any of my social media, but I gotta go pick it up. We're gonna use it quite a bit this fall for the first time, not really ever. I have it, I bought it cheap, I just never really had much of a reason to use it. It's getting tight in here, there's too many tractors parked in here right now. But I never really had any reason to use it, so I just haven't. But that's about to change this fall. I'm gonna use it quite a bit, I think. All right, here it is. It's not big, and it needs cleaned up a little bit, but I'm gonna use this to seed some waterways to try and reduce some erosion this winter, and also do some cover crops with this thing. Planning on doing a couple 100 acres, and I don't know, maybe another 20 acres of waterways or so. So it's not big, but I'm gonna try and use it some. I like the idea of drilling it better than broadcasting it, but if I get in the time crunch, I will broadcast it, because I know we'll be kind of slow going with this, but that's the game plan. So this is a Case 5100 soybean special. It's actually an international, but it's in pretty good shape. It needs cleaned up, it needs gone over. I know that some of the chains are pretty loose, and I think there's an idler missing off of it, but it's pretty clean inside. So yeah, should work pretty good. I have planted beans with this before. The first year I farmed, I planted some with it, and I've also replanted some beans. That's primarily most of the beans I planted with it. I've replanted using this just because it's light and it's easy to just drop in here and there. But you can see rye here, about 16 pounds, 30 pounds, 44. It's got plenty of settings for that. So, you know, and if I ever did want to plant any winter wheat, I could use this. Again, it's not massive, it's nothing real impressive, but it'll work for what I'm doing with it. And I'm not planning on doing a whole lot, but it is something I want to try out. So yeah, this will work pretty good for that. Won't be long out here. Won't be long at all. So I think this is going to be it for this video. I do have some footage with a GoPro, cutting second cut hay, raking it, baling it, hauling some in. So hopefully I can get that video out to you guys next week. Got several time lapses and stuff. In the meantime, been wiring up scales and that thing today. Just doing some miscellaneous wiring, cleaning out cabs on everything, detailing everything, possibly wax some stuff today if I get time. But first field should be about a week and a half off. We got 120 acres of 3/6 soybeans that we should start cutting, I would say, last bit of next week, early the week after, maybe week and a half, but they are very, very close. So hopefully I can get some videos of that and get those out to you guys. Instead of just screwing around here in the shop, you'll actually get to see stuff in action. So if you're looking forward to that, subscribe to the channel. You'll get notified when that comes out. And if you enjoyed the video, drop a like, drop a comment, drop some comments, concerns, and criticism. It's all welcome. You help my algorithm, you pay the bills. So I appreciate you guys watching, and stay tuned for the next video.